Every time you hit a transmit button, the average message will hit 8 servers on its way from the user to the back end wherever it's trying to go. The technologies being used is just going to get more and more advanced. Some of the stuff I'm hearing in the Valley are just going to make Flash look good in some ways down the road, and I don't think that's possible in some ways. The other thing is the platforms, the cloud's becoming more and more popular, and it's not becoming popular just because it's an innovation, guys. It's not a fad. It's not going away. It's going to grow and grow and grow. Cloud computing in itself doesn't mean anything to anybody unless there's an application. My application, it's the perfect world. I consider cloud testing, or our product Cloud Test, to be the killer app for cloud computing. Because at any given day, I may need to provision 10,000 servers, or 1,000 servers, or 5,000. But I only need them for about 5 hours. And then I want to tear them down. And by the way, I don't want to pay for them before or after. I only want to pay for what I use. And by the way, I don't have the problem of everybody else because the data, for data security, because the data I'm dealing with is test data. So when you really look at the cloud from the prism of performance testing, there could be no other better platform. Game changers. Things have to change. I consider game changers not to be a term used by Gartner, but actually an effective term to describe what we do. If there is no business reason to do it, games will not be changed. But if there's a big reason to do it, there are game changers, and it's key. So what are the ones in testing? And we saw one this morning. I really, really, really believe in U-Test. And I believe it because nothing is consistent in this world. You have needs that go up and down. It's the reason why cloud testing evolved, and they're the people side of it. My company, and I'm going to start talking about cloud testing now, is another, what I think, game changer. I think cloud computing is the enabler for that game change, and we'll talk in more detail. Some things that will be controversial to all of you, I guarantee. Production level testing. I'm going to tell you about 2 or 3 stories of folks that have hundreds of thousands of virtual users hitting a website while 20,000 people are doing their normal day-to-day things in a site. It's becoming more and more consistent in the United States. It's a form of testing, but testing a live production site is becoming a game changer in the way we do things. We've always tested in the lab, never tested out for all the risk factors that are associated to it. That world is changing. Another one that I think is kind of, it's going to happen. It's going to be continuous testing. You're always going to be throwing some unique user scenarios through your system to check if something is working. So what is cloud testing? I'm going to break up the first myth that you may get just because the name of our product is Cloud Test, is the applications we test are rarely in the cloud. We really don't care where the applications are. They are usually in managed service providers like Terramark or IBM or 3Ter or Rackspace or someplace like that. Sometimes people have their own data centers, of course, and on occasion they're in the cloud. And a lot more, they're starting to grow in the cloud. But it doesn't matter to us. It's a target. The applications are a target. And most all of those applications have their own monitoring systems, whether it be Wiley or Tivoli or OpenView or BTO, or Gomez or Keynote on the outside. They all have their own monitoring, or sometimes open source, and that's, I think, going to be a bigger trend. On the left-hand side of it is our tools. And these are, think of it as Gartner has called us. We're kind of the Mercury Interactive for the cloud. Think of LoadRunner from the software tool. There's a set of tools there that allow you to record scenarios, build scenarios, do validations, parameterizations, both from a visual view, recording capability, as well as a script capability. There is also a set of tools there that are highly important within a cloud community that's a grid that allows you to deploy a massive amount of virtual users or servers in the cloud or load generators in the cloud very, very rapidly. And the most important element to me, and we'll talk about this hopefully a little bit more, is data. This may not be obvious to you folks, but the size of the scale of the tests and my desire to have all the data in a single location, aggregated and correlated on the same timeline, will generate terabytes of test data. The combination of load, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, and all that monitor data from Wiley and Keynote, Gomez, whatever you're sourcing, getting the source from, will create terabytes of data. Do you have the tools to handle the data is the whole key. Because the job of testing is not to say, I did 100,000 user tests. The job of testing is, where's the actionable intelligence? Do I go live? Do I cut back? Do I need to do different switch settings on a cluster database? Do I need to upgrade my F5 servers? That's the data people are looking for, and you're not going to get there unless you're able to analyze this data very fast and very effectively. And so that is what we're actually known for, more than the fact that we introduced this concept back in 2007 that now everybody is called cloud testing. We obviously called the product cloud test. Everybody, in my view, if you're building a web application, you're going to be using the cloud as a testing platform. Not the only testing platform, but as a testing platform going forward, because it's just intuitively obvious. So how do we use the cloud? Pretty obvious. Maybe, maybe not. Our software is in the cloud. We built the application in the cloud, initially for EC2, but our application now runs in Azure and IBM, 3 Tera, 17 different APIs. And some of them not so good, to be honest. Some of them are platforms as a service, some of our infrastructure as a service APIs, but we've had to do a lot of work in our grid to actually do it. And then our load generators are in the cloud. And so that's how cloud testing works. The ability to spin up hundreds of servers, thousands of servers, generate millions of users or hundreds of users in an instance. We did a test 2 weeks ago for 1.1 million concurrent users. You know, we have built what we call the SOASTA Global Test Cloud. What's important for our users is to be able to simulate users coming from all around the world and not just in Amazon's location in Virginia or in Ireland. We've created a network of cloud providers with this grid architecture that gives me access of over 100,000 cloud servers at any given point in time. You know, I always say that these tests are like are a little bit like a NASA environment. You know, NASA, a space launch of some kind, because you're looking at an enormous amount of data, and it's all live data. Again, you know, this is nuance, and I'm not getting into a sales pitch, but the technology here is the ability to aggregate and correlate massive amounts of data from multiple data sources onto the single timeline. The reports we do generate are all live and living. They can be drilled down to at any given point in time. At the top screen, you might see some performance-related issues or response time-related issues that users are experiencing. So at that moment in time, you want to understand what's going on. So why cloud tests? It's all about business. It's all about speed, scale. Actionable intelligence is what the business owners want. They don't want the fact that you did a test. They want to know what to do about it. And affordability can't be minimized here. It's a very important factor of everything we do and the way we go.